Hey, welcome to Impact Leadership. I'm Brother Jack. I'm so glad you tuned in. I hope and pray that you're getting a nugget or two from these leadership podcasts, and I hope that it's helping you. I know it's helping me. I'm going back and listening to myself, and I'm thinking, man, I learned a lot right there, and I hope you're doing the same. So here it is in leadership. Have you ever felt like your leadership was crashing? Like you were nosediving and you're going, oh my goodness, Mayday, Mayday, what am I going to do? Well, we've all been there. As leaders, we've all went through times in our life where we felt like our leadership was just crashing and the world was caving in and we were screaming out, Mayday, Mayday, somebody help, or I've got to get out of this mess. Well, we've all been there. We've all shared those moments. What do you do when that happens to your leadership? The first thing I want to encourage you to do is to maintain the right attitude when the going gets tough. When you're a leader and the going gets tough, the worst thing in the world you could do is cop a bad attitude. Because it is in that moment that you can say a lot of things, do a lot of things that would hurt a lot of people and sabotage your leadership. So you've got to realize that when you're crashing, don't get the wrong attitude, because attitude determines your altitude, and you got to get the nose going back up. So make sure that you have an attitude check when you're feeling that your leadership is crashing. And then the other thing I want to encourage you to do is realize that rough weather doesn't last forever. That is, we all know that seasons come and seasons go. This rough weather is not going to last for eternity. And I've seen so many leaders crash in the times of the storm because they forgot, hey, you know what? This too shall pass. So you have to bear in mind that when you're going through the tough time, that it's not going to last forever. It'll pass. And so make sure that you realize it's not going to remain there for an eternity. So let's make sure that we don't get the mindset that we're permanently stuck in the Mayday mindset. And then try to make major decisions before the storm, not during the storm. You know, when you're seeing the strain of leadership starting to happen, don't make a major decision in the middle of the storm. Don't make it during the lows of your leadership. Make sure that you're aware that if you're in the storm of leadership, that if you're trying to make a major decision, there's a high possibility you won't think it through correctly, that you'll get wadded up with a lot of wrong information. Your perspective will be wrong, and you don't want to do that. So make sure that you kind of slide major decisions off the table when you're going through a leadership crisis. And keep in constant contact with the control tower. In other words, don't separate yourself from necessary information that you need during this time. Don't go into your corner and isolate yourself and separate yourself from the control tower. You need to stay in the loop. So stay in your loop and don't become victim to being separated from that which is going to help navigate you to a safe landing when the storm is in your leadership. And then don't fly without clearance, and don't fly when there's a bad weather report. You know, when you're going through all this stuff, you've got to come to a place where you get some clearance to take off again before you start taking off. I've seen a lot of people in leaders make a lot of mistakes with that. They want to try to prove to themselves, you know, I can do it, or others, I can do it. And in doing that, they try to fly before it's time. And man, you don't want to do that. Get your clearance. Clearance in your head. Clear up your head, clear up your heart, clear up your mind, clear up these things that may have gotten a little cloudy during this small crisis that we may be in. And when it's time to fly again and you've got the clearance and everything is good, overcome the fear of failure. You know, a lot of times when people are going through a leadership crisis, they get bogged down and they get anchored to the failures that's happened in their life months ago or years ago, and they're afraid to spread their wings again and fly. When you get clearance and you get that break where the weather changes in your leadership, don't let the fear of failure anchor you and keep you grounded when really you could fly again as a leader and overcome discouragement. You've got to make sure that you recognize it's time for me to propel again. And in doing that, I believe that you can overcome fear and you can overcome discouragement. So let me give you some steps to help to kind of get you nose back up in your leadership so that you can kind of get it going again when it's time. Are you ready? Here's about 5 things that I want to encourage you to do. First of all, have positive action. Make sure that when you're getting ready to turn the tide back up, you start having positive action. Now that may be demonstrated in how you walk, what you do, how you handle yourself, the posture, everything about you. You take positive action. And then secondly, I want you to have positive thinking. That is, get your mind back in the tracks of positive thinking. Don't look at your failures. Don't look at your mistakes. Don't look at your disappointments. Don't anchor to your discouragement. Think the positive things. It's going to get good. It's going to be better. I can do it. I can achieve it. I can go there. I can dream that. And I believe that your positive thinking is going to propel you to do the third thing, and that is be a positive example. You know, as a leader, your model is on display, and you've got to recognize that you can be a positive example to those that are around you. And then the last one is have positive persistence. Don't start and then become inconsistent. Be persistent. That is, look in front of you, not behind you, and be persistent in making sure that your leadership, I went through a storm. I struggled. There was a Mayday time in my life, but you know what? That's behind me. That's behind me. And now I've got a positive persistence that's going to propel me forward. And I believe that when you do that, you can overcome the Maydays of your leadership. Listen, just because you have a struggle doesn't mean that you're finished. There is potential in front of you. Thanks for tuning in to JC Impact Leadership.